and stuff like that is you can't rush putting your music out. A lot of cats really do be rushing their projects and putting stuff out when they're not ready, and then be getting mad disappointed when they aren't getting the numbers that they want.
You are now listening to the Music Business Dreams podcast, brought to you by KDMR Music.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Music Business Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Brandon from KDMR Music, and I'm super excited to have you listening this week. Now, you just heard from today's guest, Michael Stover. He is the managing editor of DeadEndHipHop.com, a publicist, and a writer, so he dropped lots of gems for artists and writers alike. So you're definitely not going to want to miss out on this interview. But before we get into it, I want to give you a couple of announcements that we've got. So, first off, if you've not joined the Indie Club yet, I'm not sure what you're waiting for, but you should definitely come inside. So it's basically our networking and support group for anyone who's interested in going deeper into the music business and what it all entails, whether you're an artist, a manager, an aspiring publicist, journalist, whatever. Everyone's welcome, and we're all learning from each other. There's nothing like having a community of like-minded individuals pushing towards similar goals to help each other out. So, second, I hope you're following us or subscribe to our channel on YouTube. This week, I just released a video about the Music Modernization Act. It's a bill that just passed the Senate and is pretty close to becoming the law, and it's going to completely change the way songwriters get royalties from streaming services. So I broke that down in a video on our YouTube channel. You should definitely check it out and subscribe so you don't miss out on other stuff that we've got up there as well. YouTube.com/KDMR Music. That'll get you subscribed. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you get notifications each time we put out a video, which is typically once or twice a week. And last, but of course not least, I'm giving away a free coaching call this week. Yes, a 60-minute strategy session with me, one-on-one. We'll do it over Skype or over Zoom. I'll record the conversation and send it to you so you have it for your records. But we can talk about anything from your strategy, your music marketing funnel, your social media presence, and your web audit. It's really whatever you need help with. So to win that strategy session, all you've got to do is shoot me an email to info@kdmrmusic.com. Tell me what you need help with and how you think it's going to help you and how you think it's going to progress your career. That's all you've got to do. It's that simple. It could be 2 sentences. Send me that email. I'm super excited to hear from you, and I'm also super excited to learn more about you and help you reach that success that you're aiming for in the music business. So don't forget to email me. I'm going to select the winner on Monday, October 1st, so you don't have much time. Shoot me that email as quickly as possible. I'll let you know if you're the winner on Monday, October 1st. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into this week's interview. So guys, our next guest is the managing editor for DeadEndHipHop.com. He's written stories for Blavity, Rapzilla, Vibe Magazine, and more. He's a writer, a publicist, and even works in artist development. So welcome to the Music Business Dreams podcast, Mike Stover. How's it going, man?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm doing well, man. It's been a crazy weekend. They were calling for that hurricane, and then it kind of downgraded at the last minute, so everything's like shut down around me. It's weird.
Dang, I'm glad you're safe out there, and the weather has definitely been all over the place.
Yeah, man. It's like by the time it got here, it's basically just been like a really long thunderstorm. Like the winds haven't been super bad or anything. But if you go out, like all the restaurants just close preemptively. Like, okay, in case it does get bad, we're not open. So it's just been crazy.
Right. Hey, I'm just glad that you guys are safe. I thought it was going to be, obviously it's been bad for some, but I'm glad that seems like most people are safe.
Definitely, man. Definitely. So as far as the interview, we're going to kind of structure it because I know you are a writer. So we're going to first talk about your writing career and tips you may have for up-and-coming writers. And then we'll kind of shift the conversation to upcoming artists and what tips you may have for them. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, let's get it.
Cool. So let's talk about your start in the business. From my understanding, you started as an MC, correct?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So from my understanding, you started out as an MC or a rapper, right?
Actually, I didn't. I actually started out writing back in, my goodness, was this 2007, 2008? I was a junior in high school, and I just I just noticed that there was so much good, hip hop music out there that was just being overlooked for radio hits and stuff like that. So that summer, I literally just listened to a bunch of music that my cousin had given me and just started writing reviews over on a WordPress blog where it just whipped up. I think it's still up there if I'm correct. I think it's just bigsto.wordpress.com. And I would just write reviews. Eventually I started interviewing artists. I even was doing my own podcast back then. I think it ran like maybe 50 episodes or something like that. I would just talk about the music and then just play some tracks and stuff like that, just to get more people to understand that, there's way more to hip-hop music than just what you're hearing on the radio.
Right. Wow. So you got started early and you just been doing it ever since. So in those early days, how were you getting the word out, or how did you kind of raise awareness for what you were doing?
Well, honestly, it was extremely difficult because, even now, I'm not even going to play. Like, things haven't changed much. It's still really hard to push, first off, it's just hard to push written content, period. But long-form written content about music that you probably haven't heard of before is always a hard sell. At the time, I would just push my writing on Facebook and just see who would bite from there. But then I was also a part of the spearofhiphop.com forums. Shout out to Josh, who runs the site over there. I was super active over there, and I would just discuss music with people and kind of slide in my reviews where I could and stuff like that. Eventually, just kind of some of the artists that I was writing about, caught wind and just kind of elevated from there.
Cool. So as far as your career as a writer, how would you say, or how important would you say the relationships that you maintain with artists is?
It's very important, and I think it's something that I do think it's something that some writers overlook. Dang, you made the mistake of asking me about hip-hop journalism. Now I'm about to go in, but a lot of the writing that happens these days is just based around clicks and how many clicks can you get. It's not based on, there are tons, thousands, probably millions, honestly, of artists out there who aren't getting coverage from your complexes, your double XLs, your faders, and stuff like that. Not because they aren't good, but because they don't bring in the clicks. And for writers and journalists to have that mentality where they're only covering certain things based on popularity, I feel like that taints the writing. Obviously, there's nothing wrong with covering the popular content. It's stuff that I consume. However, we can't complain about, oh my goodness, like hip hop is trash and it's going into the dirt. It's so much garbage music, when journalism publications are refusing to cover good hip hop music. So I definitely strayed from your question massively, but I pride myself on building relationships with everybody, not just the artists, not just the producers, but writers too. Because when you have a network, a genuine network, where we're all chasing and pursuing the same goal, ideally, there's, the amount of reach that you have becomes unlimited. We're no longer restrained to just, our local scene. We're no longer restrained to just the people that we email sometimes, you know what I mean? We can build real, actual relationships over, all these platforms or whatever. And then when you meet in person, it's epic.
Right. Now, so the common goal that you're saying that writers have, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The common goal I think it depends on who you're talking to, obviously. For me, my goal has always just been at first my goal was just to promote art that wasn't getting the credit that it deserved. That's where it started. But as I've grown older and matured and stuff like that, it's genuinely about keeping and preserving hip hop culture. It's not just about, who's popular and who's popping. It's about every corner of hip hop culture. And it's not just about the rappers. It's not just about the beats. It's about the DJs. It's about the people that are promoting the work and the graph writers and stuff like that. Keeping that preserved is super key. And, I'm seeing and noticing that more now because a lot of these cats don't know what was going on in the 90s. Some of them don't even know what was going on in this past decade, hip-hop-wise. And I feel like it's our duty to educate them. Now, how we're going about that, I guess, is up for interpretation. But at the end of the day, keeping and preserving the culture and promoting art that doesn't get the shine that it deserves. Those are my two, main goals as a writer.
Right. And that's a perfect lead into my next question. It's almost like you read my question board, but I wanted to ask what hip hop means to you, since you have enough passion to write about it on such a regular basis.
Man, that's a loaded question, but I mean, hip hop is everything to me. Anytime, and I feel like a lot of people say this, but anytime I felt like I didn't have anybody or anything to really turn to, hip hop was always there. There was always an artist or a song that I could go to that has related to my situation. And it helps with the lows and the highs. I think hip hop, is more of a foundation in the universe than I think that not enough people are giving credit to. We see hip hop everywhere. It's not just about, what we're listening to in our headphones and stuff like that. We're, not just ads and between ads, movies, video games, stuff like that. Hip hop is everywhere. Fashion, sports. Hip hop is everywhere, and hip hop is everything. I think that's the best way that I can summarize it.
Gotcha. And so, do you feel like there are challenges in hip hop journalism that writers for other genres don't face?
Off top, I just want to say yes, just because I'm not going to pretend like I've massively studied other genres of music and stuff like that, writing-wise. But, there's multiple facets to think about. Even from a competitive standpoint, everybody is writing about rap music these days. Everybody believes that they have the right to write about hip-hop music, regardless of where they've come in, regardless of what they know, which, it's a good thing and a bad thing. On one hand, I feel like, as a hip-hop artist, hip-hop journalist, you have to have some type of inkling of the history. A lot of these people that are writers, they don't know anything about the actual culture. They don't know about the past and the fights that Black people had to go through just to get to this point. You know what I mean? And so when you see them actually speaking, as though they understand the 50 plus years, I'm sorry, that math is completely off, but, the 30 plus years at least that hip hop has been around, and you haven't even really tried to understand or study that, yet you're going to tell people that here's what you need to be listening to and, all that jazz. And some of them, the other thing is that all they're doing is just writing like the latest celeb gossip. You know what I mean? And their opinions, their sole opinions on rap music. Like, is it dope? Nah, then it's trash. Like, that's about as deep as it goes these days. For some writers. Now, obviously, there are definitely platforms out there, DJ Booth, DeadEndHipHop, Micro Chop, iStandard. There's a ton of publications out there that are studying and really putting in the full amount of passion and work that it takes to write about all these things. And I'm not sure that other genres have to struggle with that hard. And especially, you're not only just talking about hip hop, but you're talking about journalism as well. We all know people aren't reading as much We know people are just reading headlines and stuff like that. So,
Right.
you know, all that combined with hip-hop culture, it definitely makes navigating, you know, the world a bit more difficult.
Definitely. That makes sense. Just from my experience talking to people across genres, I think you're right in that other genres of music don't carry the same weight or aren't expected to carry that weight of politicism and, you know, facing, okay, what's going on with us as a society before the music, right? With, you know, other genres can be more of an escape, but we expect hip hop to be more of a reporting genre. And so that certainly adds a layer of credibility that has to be shown, you know, or reverence that has to be shown by the journalist as well.
Right. Yeah, I think you nailed it. You really did. I think weight is the perfect word. And I don't think other genres have to carry that weight. Because, you know, even I don't think there's a person out there really like me. I feel like hip-hop journalism has like Dark Adams who will without fail call people out for just not getting their facts correct when it comes to hip-hop. And I don't feel like there's, in other genres, there's really that type of, you know, fact-checking, I guess. And I'm not saying that hip-hop has that, because like I just said, like there are a lot of writers that don't fact-check at all. But I feel like, you know, the OGs of hip-hop journalism, you know, they were there. They experienced a lot of the stuff that people are pretending that they know about now. So, you know, I think weight it really is the perfect word to summarize that.
Got you. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, just as a writer, how is it keeping up with the demand for stories? I mean, like I know you do album reviews, and there's like 84 new albums every week. So how do you kind of stay rested and then charged enough to write so consistently?
If I'm being honest, I usually don't rest. I usually just like write until I crash, and then you know, try to rest for a week and then jump back in. But you know, the biggest thing I've learned over these last 2 years, because I really feel like I've kind of mastered my process and how I want things to go. You can't be listening to the people that much, especially because, you know, writing at DeadEndHipHop, they expect a review in like 2 hours after the album comes out.
Right.
And especially now that we live in a time where, like you just said, 700 million albums are dropping every week. You know, I really just try to focus on the stuff that I care about and stuff that I really want to write about. Because I think I'm blessed to be in a position where, like, you know, I look at like DJ booths, like the content that they write is incredible, and it's all long form and it's detailed and there's tons of research. But I also feel like they have kind of like a duty to kind of keep up with the most popular current releases. Whereas I feel like I'm able to kind of go and, you know, like Mellow Music Group, they've been killing it this year. And I have an opportunity to sit down and cover all their releases where I feel like some other publications don't. And nothing against them, because like we just said, the music climate is insane. And if you're going to keep a publication alive, you got to be getting some type of viewership. But I'm blessed to be in a position where I can write about what I want to write about. And, you know, it just goes back to, like I was saying before, I always want to write about stuff that's not getting covered as much. And that hasn't changed.
Got you. So, and before we wrap up the segment for writers, I want just to ask if you have any tips for someone who, you know, might be in a college dorm room right now. They've got all the time in the world. You know, they're pumping out maybe they've got their own blog. What steps would you say that they should be taking, you know, to get themselves on a bigger platform or to write for the publication of their dream, so to speak?
Mm-hmm. The first thing I tell you, because I tell every writer this, and even writers that, you know, get to their supposed publication of their dreams, keep writing. Don't stop writing. I mean, obviously don't burn yourself out, but like, one of the things I had to learn, and here's the thing, if you are sitting in a college dorm room right now, you've probably pumped out so many pieces, you've probably had sleepless nights, running off ramen and stuff like that. But listen, even once you get out of college, keep writing. You are entitled to nothing when it comes to this writing, business, journalism, whatever, because editors out there and people that own publications, they do not care how long that you've been writing. They want some type of experience, but a lot of them just want to see you bring in clicks. And that brings me to my next point. You mentioned publication of your dream. I had that experience. I had that experience where I thought I was writing for the publication of my dream. And then it all fell apart because it was a facade. Do your research. Talk to the people that are running these publications. Don't just jump on a publication because you think they have a cool name and you think that you're going to get hella views and blow up. Because a lot of these publications just want to use writers to get views so that they can keep getting paid while you're still struggling trying to find an actual job and stuff like that. So do your research. Know who you're writing for. Make sure that you're able to have a say as a writer. Just because you're writing for someone does not mean that you don't have a voice when it comes to talking to those editors and stuff like that. And then third, the last thing I'll just say is, don't give up. Writing is hard. It is so hard out here because, like we've kind of, talked about throughout in this entire conversation, there are a lot of publications that are just trying to get paid. They don't care about the culture. They don't care, in the words of Kanye West, they don't care about black people. There's a lot of publications that are just trying to use their platform to get as much money as possible. Don't let them, hurt your vision or hurt your passion of writing. There are publications out there, tons. And also be open to other career options. Don't just pigeonhole yourself into, I just want to write about this, and this. Don't be afraid to open up a little bit. That's how I got where I am. Like, I thought I wanted to be a writer for insert publication here, writing reviews for the rest of my life. But once I opened up, my, willingness to do other things, now I'm doing artist development. Now I'm doing publicist work and stuff like that. I would have never imagined that 5 to 7 years ago because I was stubborn and thinking I could only do one thing. So, I'm throwing a lot at you, but don't give up. Keep writing. Research the publications that you want to write for. And for the love of God, please don't give up. We need writers. We need you guys.
Definitely. And now, I feel like this might be a little sensitive, but I feel like I'd be remiss if I did not ask you to elaborate on, that story of you finding a publication that you thought would be the fit for you and then realizing that it wasn't. Could you talk about how that went for you?
Yeah, I definitely can. I'll try to keep names out just because I am trying to be at least somewhat professional, but I'll try to throw in enough context clues to where you should be able to figure out what I'm talking about. But, I had graduated college, 22, it's hard to get, well, first off, I didn't even graduate with a writing degree. Let me make that's another thing I want to tell you guys. I did not get a degree in journalism. And you can still, get a job and get something that, can get you paid and stuff like that, as long as you are working and getting your craft up and stuff like that. So this is, 2014, 2015, I think. At that point, I've been writing for 7 years, and I was getting stubborn. I was like, I can't believe, how am I not, I should be writing for Time at this point, or Complex, or something like that. That's how I genuinely felt. I felt like my writing deserved that. So that stuff it wasn't going well. And, at the time I was working 9 to 5, just trying to, keep the lights on, keep the bills going, and stuff like that. I eventually got to a point where I was like, what, I don't care what happens. I'm just going to keep writing and keep, going for opportunities and stuff like that. An ad came out from a certain publication. They were looking for black writers that were in tune with the hip-hop culture and were in tune with, you know, not just from a social media standpoint, but an independent artist standpoint. And I couldn't believe it. It was an incredible opportunity. I felt like I fit right in. I sent in my resume with a couple writing clips and stuff like that. Hop on the phone, do an interview with the owner of the publication. She was incredible. She was very vibrant, and it sounded like she cared not just about what I brought to the table, but me as a person. So that was very uplifting, and to finally, you know, be with writers that I felt were just like me and looked just like me, I thought was perfect. I could learn and grow while also progressing in my career. I'll never, ever, ever forget this. I'm at my friend's house in Cleveland, just chilling, playing games. I get a phone call, and it's from her. She says, "You got the job." I could not have been more excited at that time. I couldn't believe it, because at that point, I honestly was like, this is it. This is the job that I've been working so hard for. This is the job that, you know, I've had those sleepless nights over it, those struggles over. This was it. I can lay my roots here. I can learn from some of the best people in the industry, while also, you know, giving back the best way that I could. And like, this is it. I can work hard, climb the ladder, and, you know, go from there. So it was all great. I couldn't believe it. We go through training and stuff like that. Things are still going well. I write a couple pieces. They like them. They enjoy them. They're getting some traction and views and stuff like that. And it seemed to be going well. There was one problem, though. Your boy wasn't getting paid. And it wasn't just for a month. It wasn't just for 2 months. It was for a couple of months. And so at this point, I'm living in an apartment. I have bills I have to pay and stuff like that, and I can't because I'm not getting paid. And, you know, at first I'm like, okay, you know, it's the hustle and bustle of the business. You know, she's working for one of the most popular websites in the world. Like, so I'm sure that, you know, lines get crossed, and, you know, we're all black here, and we're all on the same team, so I'm sure that we'll work something out. Right. Yeah, that ain't happened. It didn't happen. I reach out, and you know, some excuses are given and stuff like that. Now, keep in mind, at this point, I'm mad late on rent. My phone has been turned off because I couldn't pay the bill. Definitely had times where was mad late on electric and stuff like that. So, you know, you can imagine, like, I'm mad frustrated. I'm like, yo, what's going on at this point? Like, and keep in mind, she's also saying keep writing. So it's like, okay, what's really going on here? Eventually, I poke and I pry or whatever. I start getting paid. Oh, pardon me, I forgot one part. Before I was getting paid, though, it was very interesting because I felt like I responsibly expressed my concerns. Because at this point, I'm not trying to lose my job. I'm going to be a professional. I reach out, hey, like, just wondering what's going on. Like I said, more excuses. And I finally kind of really got frustrated after I see that my boss posts a picture of her pretty much at front row seats at a Warriors game. And it's just like, yo, like I said, at this point, I'm struggling with rent, mad struggling with rent. My phone's off, like, all of this stuff is coming down and stuff like that. And again, like I said, juxtapose this to, I genuinely thought that this was about to be one of the best experiences of my life. So right. All that has gone down, right? I finally started getting paid. Things are working smooth because I was like, okay, I just had to, you know, kind of step up a little bit and, you know, get paid, and now things are fine. Christmas time rolls around, and we're told that a new editor is coming in and is going to be taking command. Keep in mind, myself and I think maybe 3, 4, 5 other people were all supposed to be in the running / were editors. It was foggy because they didn't explain things. And so new editor comes in, boom. And then I start to, so I'm still pitching pieces and pitching reviews and still just doing, you know, what I do. And all of my pitches are getting rejected. All of my articles are getting rejected. I reach out, I'm like, yo, like, what can I do? Like, what do I need to do to, you know, get properly paid and to get my articles accepted? Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, hop on the phone, editor goes, yeah, I don't know if you fit the aesthetic for the site. And I'm like, what? I'm black. I like hip hop music. What other aesthetic is there to fit?
Right.
And at that point, and then he goes, okay, well, you know, we would like to keep you on the team, but, you know, you would just be a freelance writer. You wouldn't be getting paid. But you can write as much as you want. And it was at that point, that I understood exactly how fake and how, full of trash sometimes the journalism portion or the journalism business can be. And even it was more disappointing that it was coming from a black-owned publication, a publication that, when you really sit down and think about it, and when I juxtapose my situation to it, you know, they're the ones throwing in the hashtags for different black people and different black events and stuff like that. But when push comes to shove, they treat their writers just like all these other publications, just like the same publications that you know, that this platform would call out for certain behavior and treatment of black people. They're treating their own writers like this. And that was extremely disappointing, just in hindsight. Because, again, you look at this platform and they kind of tout themselves as the black platform. This is where black people are supposed to go to feel safe, to feel like they can be themselves, and they're just as bad as all the other publications. So, so after that phone call, you know, I quit because it was ridiculous at that point. And, if you haven't caught on, like, I would never, every single person that has come to me and asked about that publication, I tell them this exact story. I would never write for them ever again. And I would never suggest for them, for someone to write for them. I don't care how much money they're throwing at you. It's a facade. They're here to take advantage of the black struggle. They're here to take advantage of the hashtags and the events and stuff like that.
We've heard about that going on at just, you know, black organizations of a bunch of different types. I know most recently one of the co-founders of Afropunk quit and cited some of those same things. Again, I'm not here to flame anybody or anything like that, but that's something that some of us have been waiting for a long time, because we knew about stuff like, and I've conducted investigations on exactly that story that you're talking about involving Afropunk. I'm waiting for Value's turn because it's something of the same thing. They care about the trendy black people. They care about the cool black people, the hip black, the people the black people that are watching Insecure, and not saying there's anything wrong with that. I watch it too. But you have to fit a certain brand of black or else you don't exist. And that's really, really sad and scary to think about, when it comes to the big picture. Right. And I mean, I know that story is especially hurtful, coming from a black journalist's perspective, being that it was a black-owned publication or these are black-owned organizations. But just as a writer in general, what questions would you ask to avoid being put in a similar situation going forward?
I mean, in all honesty, I ask the questions that are important to you. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with asking about getting paid, because a lot of publications and people will finesse you out of money and not even think twice. Because I used to be that guy and be like, oh, it's rude, to ask about money and stuff like that. But if they've hired you and you, especially if you've been working and if you've been writing and stuff like that, you are in every right to ask. And if you sign a contract, that's the mistake I made. I signed a contract and I was so afraid to ask about money. Nah, if they aren't paying you and you sign something and they sign something, you go get your money.
Right.
And ask about that. I don't know, man, because if I'm being frank, I'm not going to pretend like I have the freelance, environment mastered. But I would just make sure that you are actually able to speak and have a voice. Some of the places I write for now, like, it's okay for me to be like, hey, like, maybe we should do this. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. And it's, it's not a problem. So try to figure out how much of a voice you're going to have. Figure out if you're going to go for these bigger publications, definitely ask how much writing is expected of you, because some of the websites will say, oh yeah, you only have to write maybe once a week or something like that. But then you hop in the Slack channel, and next thing you know, you have to write about every single trending event that pops up, or you're not getting paid. The other thing is, don't just ask about payment in terms of how much money. Figure out exactly how their pay works. I'll tell you right now, for the Black-owned publication I wrote for, I got paid per piece that I wrote. So if I wrote a news piece, I would get $25 for it. If I wrote a review, I would get $50 or something like that. Figure out how that works. But then after I left that publication and went to write for Heavy.com, their payment was based on how many people viewed viewed your article. And at first I was like, okay, that sounds all right, but if they're only giving you, X amount of money, like 50 cents per 1,000 views, that doesn't make sense. Because then the only way that you can succeed is by trending, and that's extremely difficult. So figure out how not just how much they're paying you, but what are you doing to get paid properly, if that makes any sense.
Right.
And then the last thing I would ask, the Twitter search bar is your friend. If you're writing for insert publication here, throw it in Twitter. See who else has written there before. Shoot them a DM and ask, I'm thinking about applying here. Is this something that you would suggest? People do that with me all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that, because if writers had a good experience, they'll let you know. They'll let you know, I learned a lot, like they were very nice and friendly, and I got paid on time. Or writers will also be like, yeah, now, bruh, stay away from there. Like they're gonna push you to the limit, expect you to pump out 10, 20 pieces a day, and you ain't gonna get paid for it. So don't be afraid to reach out to other people that have worked there before.
Right. Well, I think that is certainly helpful for all the aspiring writers out there, and a cautionary tale. But again, we don't. It's not a loss if you learn from it, right? And so now you know what questions to ask. Now you know what to be on the lookout for. Now you know what looks suspicious and how to follow, your instinct in that sort of a situation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't want people to think that, the whole landscape is dirty and all this stuff, but, you do need to be careful. Like I said, the situations I'm in now are incredible. But I took a couple L's first. I did have to learn and whatnot and learn. And last tip. Know your own self-worth. It's hard to do. It's hard to learn because there's so many different influencing factors, but as a writer, you have to know your self-worth because people will try to play. But yeah, you're nailing it.
Cool. So in recent years, you've kind of shifted or expanded, I should say, to go into like artist development and other artist services. Can you talk about what you do for upcoming artists?
Yeah. So I from a publicist standpoint or artist development standpoint, I pride myself, we kind of talked about this earlier, I pride myself on my relationship with the people I work with. I don't want you to come to me just because you think I'm going to get you a couple posts on insert publication here. I want you to learn something. I want you to take some tips and keys so that when you are ready to run your next project, you have some tips, you have things to learn from. So specifically, I specialize in writing press releases. I specialize in, album rollouts and kind of the marketing promo side of getting your music out there. I'm constantly learning about the different ways that you can use social media to get your product or your music out there. I mostly specialize in social media, branding, and promo, but those are such three general terms that I can go on forever just talking about each subset and stuff like that.
Got you. And so, and I ask people this all the time, but when do you feel like an artist is ready to reach out to you? Like, is there a certain stage they should get to in their career, or will you take someone from the very beginning? Like, I just recorded a song, now what?
Well, when I was an independent, I used to take, you had to have at least have a professional, sounding track / kind of basic branding going on. But I don't know. The one thing I've learned now, like really working with taste creators and stuff like that, is you can't rush putting your music out. A lot of cats really do be rushing their projects and putting stuff out when they're not ready, and then be getting mad disappointed when they aren't getting the numbers that they want. But so, for me, at the very least, you should come to me or come to Taste Creators when you have a professional sounding song that's mixed, mastered, engineered, and you have a somewhat clear idea of where you want to go. Now, not just on some, I just want to make a bunch of money, tour the world, like a more focused vision and goal for yourself. That's what I think you should approach. And be willing to listen. Be willing to listen when you do approach.
Got you. So in your work with artists and doing that development, what are some of the top mistakes you've seen artists make as they're kind of chasing these career goals?
Well, we already talked about rushing, and I kind of want to, fold that into most artists out there are not patient. And I know that because I was not patient when I was an artist, and I am still not patient as an artist. And, like I said, a lot of cats really be thinking that they're, that they're going to drop a project and then, boom, a label's going to fly them out and they're going to sit down, sign a deal, and then just blow up. Like, it doesn't work like that. You got to be patient. Rushing in this is just not going to work. Another mistake I've seen, spamming. I mean, it's 2018, and we're still tagging 100 people on our Facebook posts, and we're still tagging random people that have no idea that you exist, telling them to check out your latest track and stuff like that.
Man, if I get tagged in the same post with 99 others one more time, I feel like I'm going to explode.
Exactly. Yeah, so spamming, that's definitely another one. Here we go. Promoting your music for the long haul. If you put out a project, don't just promote it the month that it came out. A lot of cats out here, most cats honestly will push it for maybe 3 weeks and they'll be like, what? I'm not getting the numbers that I wanted, so I'm going to stop. But it should be about a 6-month period. So many cats are on this, I want to drop something. Damn, I didn't get the numbers I want. I got to drop something else. Like, no, slow your roll. Take time to put content around your release. Don't just drop something and then expect people to just know about it. That doesn't work. You have to take time to prepare a promotion plan. If you're getting pressed, use it. Make content for the long haul. Put your lyrics on Genius. You know what I mean? There's 100 things that you can do to kind of push people or get people to take a look at what you're working on.
Right.
we've talked about this entire show. There are hundreds, thousands of artists out there. You have to figure out a way to stick out. You can't just be stubborn in one lane or just copying and pasting your link and expecting people to catch on.
So that 6-month period, because I feel like, there are albums that have come out in the last month that I've really loved. And I've listened to them twice, maybe 3 times at the most, and I'm busy with life or I'm on to other things or whatever, right? So, and these are like major artists, right? Like I don't remember the last time I listened to the Jay-Z and Beyonce album, and that came out, 3 months ago?
Right.
So, and the Nas album I only played once because the Jay-Z Beyonce album came out. So like when you've got this type of a climate, how can an independent artist extend and sustain that promo period for that 6 months when it feels like, I've got to do something brand new to get attention?
Right. Well, the one thing, and I'll just use the Nas, Beyonce, Jay-Z as an example. And obviously Nas is a huge artist, so yes, he should or was supposed to have people doing this for him. But all right, so Beyonce and Jay-Z outshine you because they dropped their album the day after yours. All right, well maybe keep promoting that, the next month when no one, because like you just said, you're not even listening to the Beyonce or Jay-Z album or whatever.
Right.
Not because you didn't like it, but you just aren't really thinking about it. But if you invest in things like ads or even just doing something where you're talking about your album, like I just feel like a lot of artists don't add that substance to their project. Yes, it's one thing to let the music speak for itself, but when you're a beginning artist, you have to speak about the music because people
Right.
don't know who you are yet. And again, it's no offense to people, but it's something that some artists need to hear. At this point, chances are, give or take some Instagram likes and some Twitter whatever, chances are only your local scene really knows about you. And they might not even know about you like that. So what work are you going to put in, or what other things are you going to do to make sure that you can get that reach out there? And another thing to really think about is like, okay, if you drop a project and you only talk about it for that 1 month, how in the world is anybody else going to see it after that if you aren't even talking about it?
Right.
We unfortunately live in this information overload society where like, damn, I just saw something super cool that I want to look into, but damn, I'm still scrolling, I'm scrolling, and then next thing you know, you have 700 tabs, internet tabs open of stuff that you need to get back to. So with all that overload and stuff like that, I would suggest for an artist to just, well, first off, honestly, get a website. Get a place where people can go to no matter what's going on and learn about you. That's it. Only you. Twitter is dope. Instagram is dope, but there's a million things going on over there. If you have a website, if you have bigsto.com or whatever, you know that it's going to be about me and what I want you to know about me and stuff like that.
Right.
And so, so that's your foundation or whatever. From there, you can add a ton of stuff. And again, this comes down to, are you really ready to drop a project? Because are you really ready to invest money into your career? Are you really ready to get a website, film a music video, edit that music video, or get somebody else to edit that music video? Are you willing to pay for gas so you can travel and go on tour and perform places and stuff like that? So, there are a lot of different ways to get your name out there. Don't get pigeonholed into just what you're seeing out here on social media.
Right. And I think that's a great point. And then I just want to add a little bit to that, because it's not always about, having to invest this crazy amount of money to create content. A lot of what I love seeing is just documentation, right? If you're booking studio time, get a GoPro, set it up in the corner of the room, record the 4-hour session that you've got, right? And now you've got, at the most, we're going to watch 3-4 minutes at a time. Unless we really care about you, then we'll watch like a 30-minute mini doc or something. But you can easily carve that out of one studio session. It didn't take you a bunch of extra steps. It took you what, $200 to buy a GoPro, and then you pay your man to edit it, or you edit it, right? Like to stay on the Jay-Z example, when 444 came out, one, I downloaded the Tidal trial so I could hear the album because I'm a Jay-Z fan. But Jay-Z kept me on Tidal for like 3 more months after that, because he kept releasing these little behind the scenes videos of him like talking to his friends about different songs, right? Like Jay-Z got $15 out of me for a month of Tidal for me to watch him Skype with Will Smith about divorce.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, it sounds ludicrous, but
it's not, though.
It's exciting.
It's right, exactly. Because we want to know about here's the thing, we want to know about the artist. Every time, like Eminem just did like an hour interview. Kendrick Lamar did like a half-hour, 45-minute interview after Damn came out. Like, seeing that stuff, because we want to know, what were you thinking when you were creating this? You know what I mean? Because it's deeper and it's more touching and fulfilling than just, yeah, I just wrote a dope song just so, get a bunch of streams. Like, no. Like, we want to know what was happening in your mind. What were you going through to make you write this stuff? So, yeah, having that content and having that background information, it just adds more to your person. Because here's the thing. Here's the other thing with artists. I don't think some of them understand, is that nobody wants to feel used. Whether you're whether you're a fan of an artist or whatever. Mm-hmm. And a lot of rappers, artists, producers, whatever, take this mentality of and just see followers or fans or whatever as just another number. It's another stream. It's another couple dollars from insert, whatever, distribution here. And then when you have that mentality, people can see through that now because so many cats are doing it. But if you're able to show yourself as a person, and as more than just, hey, I need you to hit play on this. I need you to RT this. I need you to like this, share this. When you can put a person behind the music, that's what gives you organic fans. That's what gives you the genuine connection that you want, is when you're showing who you are behind the music, when you're expressing yourself outside of the music and being yourself. It's not just about, make a banger, get a bunch of people to click banger, make money. Like, no, it's more than that.
Right. And I'm so glad I grew up in that era. I think you and I are about the same age based on when you graduated high school. But I remember when Drake wasn't quite Young Money yet, and he had that blog, the October's Very Own blog. And you're like checking the website every other day, like, oh, did he release a song? Or there's like Oliver's putting up pictures of clothes that they enjoy. Like, I felt like I watched him blow up. And then it was like the same with J. Cole. Like, you're watching these artists on Twitter in real time, and there was also still that component of, as a fan, let me dig for this. Whereas, now we're in the full-on Spotify age, and like, for the most part, content is fed to us. But like you said, people aren't looking at it like it's a true fan experience. They're looking at it like it's numbers. And so we don't get that consideration. And a lot of the content is just lacking, or it's not being made at all.
Right. Exactly. No, you nailed it.
Yeah. So, well, I do want to wrap up because I know we're going a little long, but before we do, I want to give you a chance to just shout out all your socials and how an artist can reach out to you if they're interested in working with you.
Yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Bigsto, Bigsto. In terms of inquiries and stuff like that, usually if you're following me and I'm following you, usually my DMs are open. But for other inquiries, you can always hit up Taste Creators. That's at Taste Creators on Twitter, tastecreators.com as well. That's where a lot of our services and just information in general is. Instagram, I'm Sto the Last. That's STO the Last. And yeah, you can actually check me. I keep forgetting I have a website because even I need to be more consistent because I don't use my website enough. But gotothelastpublicist.com. You can check me out there. There's actually a lot of free tips over there. There's at least, I want to say, 5 to 7 articles over there just with social media tips and different things that you can do. And it also has like all the places that I've written for so far. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Got you. And you guys should definitely check out his website. If he wasn't providing real advice and, really actionable information, I wouldn't have reached out to him for this interview. So you can trust the information that's on his website, if for no other reason than because I said so. But I'm really thankful to you, Michael, for taking the time to speak with us. I know we had some technical difficulties, but for you to carve this time out of your day and give out so many tips and so much advice, I'm really appreciative of it.
Honestly, I can't even thank you enough for having me. It's really not often that people ask me, anything outside of how do I get on Complex. So for you to even reach out and actually want to take the time to listen and ask questions, honestly, it means more than you know. I really, really appreciate it.
Oh, no problem, man. And that's going to do it for our interview with Michael Stover. I'm always excited to have guests that are open and honest and just candid about their experiences to help you become more successful or even just as successful as they are. So if you need any help from Michael, don't forget to follow him on Twitter at Big Sto and slide in his DMs if you need anything. So that's going to do it for today's episode. Don't forget to enter that contest to see if you can win a 1-hour coaching call with me. If you want to stay connected with us, of course, you can join the Indie Club. You can follow us on all social media at KDMR Music. And you can view the full show notes and episode details at musicbusinessdreams.com. Until next time, keep dreaming those dreams, work hard, and make them reality. Peace.